Hi guys, today I'm creating a crypto portfolio with $10,000 and the goal is to make during the year in the alt season at least $300,000 or maybe $500,000, and if we are lucky and we have an alt season like in 2017, even earn $1 million. Let me tell you in more detail. We have $10,000 and we will invest most of it into altcoins, but some part, 10, maybe 15% into different activities like memecoins, airdrops and ICOs. And also every month I will be adding $500 into our portfolio. So you can think of it as money coming from somewhere or part of the salary, and we will systematically invest into the market. Or for example, if you don't have additional income to put aside, then it's better to split the initial capital into many months, because nobody can see the future, but we increase our chances of success with skills and correct analysis and also consistency. Meaning whatever happens, we continue to stay active in the market, waiting for life change. I decided to do this right now because now is the lowest point in the market, and I'm talking not only about the price of altcoins, also about them too, but about the mood of absolute majority of market participants. Any video you open of a popular crypto influencer, you will see comments like just give me 2-3x and I will leave this damn market at break even or with a small profit. And I think many of you who are watching my video now also have such thoughts that yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum and Solana are fundamentals, but they're expensive and there is no sense to buy them. And altcoins are totally scams, which people bought long ago, but their portfolio drawdown is in the best case 50% and for most 80-90%. Wait, let's look at the whole picture. Right now, Bitcoin is worth more than $100,000. You may say, so what? But altcoins are in the dump. Yes, but I already said, let's look at the whole picture. Bitcoin is over $100,000, which is almost twice the previous highs of the last bull run. And for the last 2 years, we were taught that Bitcoin only goes up, that it doesn't know how to fall and simply can't fall. But just look at the chart. This is a distribution zone. Yes, maybe there can be an impulsive move to 150,000, but it doesn't change anything. It's still a distribution zone. But right now it may seem strange to us, yet within a year or at most 2 years, we will see Bitcoin in the same phases as it was in the beginning of 2022. Meaning it will be falling and the big player will be unloading because liquidity is always born on the fall. When asset drops 30% from its highs, unexperienced investors think it's a discount and start buying in hopes of growth. Then it falls another 30% and they buy more. After that, new people come in thinking that a 50% discount from its highs and is a gift, and then drops another 50% and so on. So what I'm getting at this, that within a year and a half, we will see Bitcoin at $30,000-$40,000. In the previous bull run, Bitcoin traded around its highs for a year and a half. Right now, it's been trading at these highs for a year. Understand that it can't stay like this forever, not just going up, but even moving sideways. That's the law of markets. This means there are two options. The first option, the big player will be selling off and Bitcoin will drop to $20,000. All the altcoins will die and the big player will leave the financial market. But why end it if you can keep making money? First, you can make 7x on the Bitcoin, then rotate into altcoins and make another 10x on your capital. That's compound interest. The second option is what we are seeing now, but refuse to believe, that liquidity is already rotating into altcoins. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance. Its peak was at the end of June at 66%, and it has been falling for 3 months. For our altcoins aren't rising, and that's absolutely normal because a bull run consists of 5 stages. Let's break it down step by step. First main asset gets pumped, that's Bitcoin. During this time, all other coins stay at the bottom. Then the large cap altcoins start pumping, just like we saw last year with Solana, XRP, Ethereum. After that, liquidity flows into mid-cap coins like ADA, Link, AVAX, Aptos, Atom, and so on. The next stage is liquidity rotation into low-cap altcoins, those with a market cap under $1 billion. Usually these are the new altcoins that appeared during the last bear cycle. So right now we are already in the second stage. Most of the big altcoins have already pumped to their highs or are in the process of doing so. Let's open the indicator for the Bitcoin to Ethereum ratio, meaning how much Ethereum we can buy with one BTS, basically BTS USDT slash Ethereum USDT. We can see that the highs of the Bitcoin to Ethereum ratio were in January 2020. That was exactly when the big players started rotating from Bitcoin into Ethereum, and it lasted for about 450 days around. We can also see that in April 2021 dominance dropped sharply, and as we remember, that was the exact time alt season started. Now, if we look at the chart of what's happening right now, we can see that the 2021 maximum was already passed in April 2025. Yes, we compare with 2020, that rotation zone lasted around 370 days, but this time it's shorter, around 189 days. That means the manipulator still had accumulated volume from 2021 that wasn't fully distributed back then. So this time it took less time. If we compare 2021 and 2025, we are now in the zone where the manipulator has already fully rotated from Bitcoin into Ethereum and is now starting to distribute Ethereum in order to later rotate into altcoins. Right now, for one Bitcoin, we can buy around 26 Ethereum, exactly the same as it was in September 2020, which was when the big players started buying up altcoins. After that, we traded for about 230 days in a sideways range here, where the manipulator was accumulating cheap altcoins with expensive Ethereum. So right now I would expect the similar picture. Of course, I don't think the big player will be accumulating altcoins for another whole year like back then, but he will need some time. I think we will see a similar pattern, and by December there will be growth in altcoins around 3-4x from current levels back to the highs of December 2024. Let's take Polygon as an example. Since its chart is pretty average compared to most other altcoins. That's a 75% drop from its highs. So now we should expect a gradual accumulation of altcoins. And as we have seen before, there also needs to be a flash of weak hands selling their altcoins. Imagine you are a good trader and you bought your altcoins at the local lows in August 2024, somewhere around here. Even though you would still be down at least 50%, and those who bought in the middle of the accumulation zone are down more than around 70%. The market is always cycle, and by late autumn, altcoins always get pumped, sometimes more, sometimes less. And of course, when by December we see our altcoins barely grow 3, 4x from the current levels and just reach the December highs, for some people that will only be break even, for other a small profit of 50, 100%. And everyone will remember the previous December how after the pump altcoins dropped 80% within half a year. In the best case, they will cut part of their position, maybe 50% of the deposit, but most will sell everything, cross themselves and say, who? I sold at break, even you guys are stupid to keep holding your shit altcoins and wait for your alt season. And here at the highs, we will see a 30% correction, just so everyone clearly sees the same pattern as in 2024 and sells. And only after all the extra participants are out, altcoins can be sent up because there will be no more weak hands left to push the price down with their selling. Let's go back to the BTS to Ethereum ratio. The most likely scenario I see is the drop in BTS dominance by November, which will lead to a 3-4x pump in altcoins from current levels. Then in December, January, a 30% drop in alts will happen. The manipulator will run this move and buy up the altcoins, being sold by people disappointed in them. And only after that the growth will begin. That's why right now is the best point to start accumulating assets to keep buy every month and rebalancing assets. It doesn't matter if the accumulation of altcoins by the big player lasts 2 months or 6 months. That's so systematic actions in the market will have a good average entry point. And now let's move on to buying altcoins for our portfolio. I want to build a portfolio with 80% fundamental assets and 20% high risk ones, meaning coins with a market cap under $50-100 million. The first altcoin I want to add to the portfolio is Ethereum Classic. Yes, you heard me right, Ethereum Classic. Why exactly this one, you may ask? Since it feels like nobody has even mentioned it for years. Yes, that's true, and that's actually one of the main advantages. Let me remind you that Ethereum Classic is the original Ethereum. Back in 2016, part of the team decided to make a fork, and that's how the Ethereum we all know today was created. Behind Ethereum Classic, there is a professional team, and if we look at the chart of the token, we can see they have proven more than once that they can pump the token. It's not like those projects that launched their tokens in 2024, 2025, and the chart only goes down. The main reason why I'm confident in the asset. First, Ethereum Classic is traded mostly by traders. Very few people are actually holding it long term. And that's one of the key success factors, because there are no extra weak hands in the token. And the whole supply is controlled by the team, which means they can pump the price however they want. Second, the price history on the chart. If we open the chart, we can see that Ethereum Classic has a clear accumulation zone between $14 and $35. Right now, price is around $20, right in the middle of this accumulation zone. It wouldn't be a mistake to make the first buy here. And if the price drops back to $14, we can simply buy more, and our average entry will be even better. Third, why I'm bullish on this asset. If we look at old altcoins with big market caps, most of them are already at or above their previous all-time highs. For example, XRP is trading almost 2x higher than in the last bull run. H-bar in the same distribution zone as in 2021, meaning it already gave a 6x. Or look at the old altcoins that are already pumping and are about to start parabolic growth, like Ada Cardano, which is trading near its upper range, or Litecoin, which is also at the top of its range. Liquidity from Ethereum and Bitcoin always flows first into old large cap altcoins, and Ethereum fits perfectly into this pattern. Even though this coin already has a large market cap of around $3 billion, that's not problem if the big player has accumulated most of the supply here. He can pump it whatever levels he wants. If we look at the bigger chart, we can see that before the pump in 2021, the coin was trading in the 411 range. Then there was a sharp move from 11 to $130, but the trading in that range lasted only about 2 weeks. That means the project team didn't have time to sell off a large amount of tokens, because to distribute even a meaningful portion, you need at least 1-2 months. So the average price they were accumulating at was around $7, and they were distributing mostly in $42-70 range over a bit more than 6 months. After that, the coin dumped and spent 3.5 years trading in the $14-30 range, where the retail had completely lost interest. Another important factor is that the coin's market cap wasn't increasing due to token unlocks, meaning no one was putting extra selling pressure on the price even while it was in the accumulation zone. 3.5 years is more than enough time to scoop up the majority of coins from people who bought there. That's why I expect that within a few months we will see something similar and move up toward $40, the top of the accumulation zone. Even there, we might spend a few weeks in sideways trading just to change hands, so that those who bought at $15 and see almost a 3x profit, and those who bought higher up will sell. Then we will see a fake correction of 20-30%, followed by a sharp move up to $100. After that, a small correction, and then possible run toward $200. You might say this is too optimistic. I would say it's realistic because it looks like very similar to the XRP pattern. So for me, the expectation is at least all-time high that gives targets of 6-10x for this coin. Of course, it wouldn't be a mistake to start taking partial profits. For example, sell 25% of the position around $80-100, then another 25% around $150. That way, even if the price stalls in the 90-150 range and it turns out to be a distribution zone, instead of running to $200-250, we will still locking in profit. There is a second scenario which I see as a less likely, but I will talk about it and show how I plan to act. For example, instead of a pump by late autumn, the price drops to $14 or maybe even $10. Will I start believing in this asset? No, because all the arguments I mentioned about this coin is game remain valid. I will simply average it every month to get a better average entry price. That means I will buy more in October, in November, in December, and then my average entry won't be $20 like now, but around $50-60. But my expectations for the coin's price won't be changed, still in 120-200 range. I want to buy Ethereum Classic for $1,500. That's 15% of our deposit. And overall, I'm ready to allocate another 50% later. So that Ethereum Classic makes up to 30% of our portfolio. Let's go to the exchange. Find Ethereum Classic and buy $1,500 worth at market price. That give us around 75 coins. Okay, we have bought it.
We'll be tracking the whole portfolio in Drops tab to make it easier and more visual. So let's go to the site and add our first purchase. It's Ethereum Classic. Total is 83 coins.
Also, my advice, don't keep your money on the exchange. Move it either to a cold wallet or at least to a hot one like Rabi wallet. Alright, our first buy is done. Congratulations to us. But that's not all. The second coin I want to add to our crypto portfolio is Filecoin. Yeah, you might say, what the hell Filecoin? Guys, this is a real game, but not a shield one. First of all, this is a very old coin that has existed since 2017. Back then, it held a record ICO, raising $200 million, but it only fully listed on exchanges in October 2020. And the team needed just 150 days to accumulate the needed amount of coins to pull off a manipulation. It only fully listed on exchanges in October 2020, and roughly 150 days the team managed to build a position big enough to drive strong price moves. And after the 10x pump, they were distributing the token for about 45 days in that zone. And after that, on every drop, they kept distributing tokens, giving small fake bonuses. Right now, the token is trading at the absolute bottom, much lower than the ICO price. We have been trading for 3.5 years in the $2-9 range, and that's why we have confidently say the team hasn't abandoned their token. Because if they didn't maintain the order book, the price would look like pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, and again dump, and all the way to zero. This is a very good sign that the team knows how to buy up the right amount of tokens to drive price moves, just like we saw before. Also, if we look at the token's price history, we can see that now trading near its all-time lows, and that gives us the best entry point. Of course, they could still be one last flash down to wipe out the long traders and kill the faith of the new who are still holding. You might ask me, why out of all the old projects do I pick Filecoin and not Avax, Dot, or for example Atom? They are way more popular, and Atom can even be staked. Well, that's exactly the point. Too many people already know about those coins, even people outside of crypto. A lot of my friends who come into crypto open YouTube and search for altcoins to invest in, and almost all of them choose DOT or Atom because they are considered fundamental. But with Filecoin, it's not like that. You won't find hundreds of videos breaking down why this project will give 1000x. So, to sum up, we have an experienced team, no shilling, and very good entry point. So, what are my targets for this coin? If we look at the chart, the maximum price was around $200. And right now it's trading at about $2.5. So does it mean we will make 80x if it grows back to the all-time high? Unfortunately, not that simple. Let's go to Dropstop and open the project's market cap. At $200, the market cap was about $11 billion. Right now, it's around $2 billion. That means there were unlocks. And from today's market cap, an 80x would put Filecoin's market cap around $140 billion. It's higher than Solana. I don't think Filecoin has such groundbreaking tech that crypto market will say, yeah, 140 billion market cap for Filecoin is justified. So in order for the market cap to just reach the previous highs, the token would need to grow about 7x to around $17-20. But if we look at the chart for 3.5 years, the big player has been accumulating these tokens, and their average entry price would be around $4-5. That means if the token only goes back to the 2021 highs, they would only make 4-5x, but funds don't spend years and accumulation just to make 4-5x. Okay, let's imagine they pump the asset and start selling there. With their selling pressure, the price would be quickly drop back to $12, which is close to their average entry. That means they wouldn't find enough liquidity. That's why I expect the price of Filecoin to grow at least 10-15x into the 25-40 range dollars. That would mean a market cap of around $20 billion, which in today's conditions is not problem at all, especially when the team controls most of the supply. Just look at the hype token. Does it have some breakthrough technology? I think no. The big player just controls the whole supply, and very few people believed in it. Because of that factor, they were able to pump it to 20 billion market cap. So I decided to buy Filecoin for $1,000. That's 10% of our deposit, and at most I will allow it to be up to 20% of the whole portfolio. Let's go to the exchange and buy Filecoin for $1,000, and we get around 400 coins. Nice. Let's go to Dropstop and add this transaction. So in total, 25% of our deposit is already in altcoins. But do you think that's it? No. There will be one more coin, the last token in today's video. I think many of you have heard about SUI and some even invested in it. If we look at the SUI chart, we can see very clear work of the big player. First, they distributed a massive airdrop in the form of allocations, then got listed at good prices and start pushing the token down. At the moment, there was thought that SUI was a scam, that the team was selling locked tokens. But in reality, the team was buying them back, and then they pumped the token 4x from the bottom. After that, again, they pushed it down. And then came the real growth that altcoins are supposed to have, almost 10x. Right now, we see the token has been trading for a year in $2-4 range, which is a distribution zone. Of course, I expect that they will pump it one last time with a candle up to $10 and then dump it down with no further growth. But why I'm even talking about SUI if I'm not planning to buy it? Because SUI is a layer 1 project with its own blockchain and projects built on top of it. At this point, after the price has already grown more than 10x from its lows, and with a full market cap of around $35 billion, the price doesn't look attractive for investment. That's why retail is not rushing to buy SUI at $4, because anyone who is even slightly involved in the SUI ecosystem knows that most of the activity is artificial. Only a few projects from Mistin Labs bring any organic activity. So how do other projects solve this problem? They start pumping the ecosystem. Take Solana, for example. Many are buying Solana at $200 and expecting $1,000 because it looks promising. It's the first chain for memes, and memes market caps are in the billions. Remember, Solana flew to $100 and then $200 exactly when memecoins started exploding there. When Ethereum copycat projects started launching on Solana with caps in the hundreds of millions and memes themselves were hitting hundreds of millions, everyone stopped saying Solana was overvalued. That's why I expect a similar story with Sui. Of course, not on the same scale, but enough for us to catch 15-20x gains. That's why I want to add Sui NS to the portfolio. It's the main domain project on Sui, basically the Ethereum name service of Sui, with a market cap around $1 billion. It's one of the projects from Mysten Labs, the same team that created Sui and pumped it into the sky. But unlike other Mysten Labs projects that took off instantly, the Sui Nest chart looks completely different. If we look at the numbers, FDF is only around $90 million and the market cap is around $30 million, which is literally nothing. And the chart looks attractive. For the last 9 months, the token has been trading in a range between $0.26 and $0.80. While I was writing the script, the token pumped about 50%, but that's not a problem because the price is still cheap. And if you look at the chart globally, it's still at an average entry. So even if there is a correction, we will just DCA. The most important part, if you check the daily trading volume, sometimes it's under $1 million, which is about 3% of the token's market cap. That's extremely low. Even if the team wanted to dump the token and get some cash out, they wouldn't be able to. If they tried, the charts would just look like down, down, down. Based on all this, for me, the project looks super attractive. It has a strong fund behind it that has already proven they know how to pump it, and the cap is tiny. That's why I expect we will see SUNS at $1.50, around $2 zone, where we can start taking profit. But honestly, they can pump it all the way to $10. If you open SU Explorer and check the holders section, you will see the top 20 wallets control 78% of the supply. That means they can pump it to any price they want. And they will because they needed to pump the SUI ecosystem itself. SUI has around $13 billion market cap, while the ecosystem tokens are still under $100 million. That's why I want to buy SUNS for $300 so that later it makes up to 6-8% of the portfolio. We go to the exchange, find SUNS and buy for $300 worth and get around 1,700 tokens. Then we also add this transaction into our portfolio. So today we bought 3 coins for 2,800 total. That's 28% of our $10,000 deposit. I think in the next couple of months we'll also put the rest of the money in altcoins and some in airdrops, because right now the market is an apathy and that means it's time to act. This was the first video in our monthly series about how we are growing a 10,000 deposit. Also make sure to subscribe to the Telegram channel, because there I will be giving updates in real time about all changes and new trades in our portfolio. So you don't have to wait until the next month's video. Editing takes time. And this series is just one part of the content on the channel, because every week I will be posting videos with project breakdowns, analysis and market forecasts. Thank you for watching. Bye.